Welcome to everybody's to Monday's Forum with the Solar Consultant Network. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Melissa Dawson, and a group of us got together to form the Solar Consultant Network to really help unite the solar industry. So it's a place for us to share insights and really help accelerate the adoption of solar worldwide. So today's featured guest, I'm beyond excited to announce. This particular gentleman really helped me he was a pivotal point in my solar career. He helped me learn how to generate leads online, helped really tone and harness my whole sales process. And not only did he help myself, but he's helped.
It's a cliffhanger. Hey, welcome everyone. I'll fill in. Bill Murphy here. I'm sure Melissa will be back momentarily. That's one of the double-edged swords of living in the rural area.
Yeah. I don't know where I left off, but before my internet cuts me off again, everybody with the Solar Consultant Network, I am so excited to introduce our guest, Bill Murphy. He has helped well over 1,500 solar reps really expand their solar knowledge, learn how to sell online leads, and so much more. Bill, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. Very happy to be here. And nice to see everyone. I see a bunch of familiar faces. Steven, Sean, what's going on, guys? Johnny, good to see you guys again.
Hey, Bill.
So yeah, it's not very often I have 36 participants on a Zoom, so this is kind of cool. But yeah, I think, more about a Q&A sort of thing. I'll kind of give you a little bit of a background about us. And then, I suppose we just do Q&A from the get-go. I mean, I started solar back in 2013, and I used to purchase a lot of leads, and it was okay. But what happened was I kept running into the same solar companies who would buy the same leads, and then we were competing, and they would drop price, and it's just this never-ending cycle. So I ended up starting to put my own information into all these solar advertisements so I could actually see who was going to call me. And then on that, I would use that to determine if I wanted to buy leads from that source or not. And in doing so, I discovered how easy it was, like what they were doing to generate leads, just simple landing page. So taught myself how to do it, started showing other people how to do it. 4 years later, the Solar Cheat Code has like 1,700 clients. So it's cool because there's not a lot of opportunity vehicles where paying money to generate leads online makes sense. You have to have a high ticket commission, and solar power is just one of those value propositions that just like Michael Donnell says, it sells itself, so you can spend money to acquire clients at a profit. And if you can do that, then you can scale to the moon. There's really no limits, so yeah, I mean, and it's not all about paid marketing either. It's personal brand, right?
All right, we're gonna hold on one moment. I'm not sure where we lost Bill, but Bill's disappeared. So Chris, if you wanna just keep an eye out in the waiting room, make sure we can get Bill back in as soon as he's there. Looks like technology's doing some fun
crazy.
things for everybody.
I had a nutty connection this morning too.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll give Bill 1 second to jump back in here. He was gonna drop, that total wisdom of gold, and just dropped off for us. Gotta love the internet and technology some days. There's Bill again.
My turn to do that.
Yeah. All right. Jump back in.
So yeah, I don't know where I just left off, but very happy to be here. So if anyone has any questions on, how to get started in this business or how to drive more traffic to your personal brand, we can open it up.
Definitely. Yeah. This is my favorite part here. This is a moment for all of you participating to get your like coolest questions or your deepest desires or questions, any of that. What do we got for Bill? You can either raise your hand or just jump out. Looks like Doc, you have your hand up. Go for it.
How you doing, Mr. Bill?
What's up, Doc?
My name is Doc Amy. I'm from Texas City, Texas. I'm very, very new to solar, but I kind of got pulled in from a buddy who kind of knew me from being like really, really popular in my side of town where I'm at and this and that. But I ended up getting pulled in by somebody else and got introduced to power. And I started learning from Sean about about the transparency and things like that. So I really like it here. And I know that I'm going to do very, very well. But as a new person, what would be some advice that you would give me starting out?
So for someone starting out, I think it's very important to get clarity as to why you're doing what you're doing. And what clarity breeds confidence. And when you have confidence in what you're doing, then people make gut decisions with you. It's like an emotional thing. They buy your confidence. And I think as solar professionals, we tend to focus on solar power being the thing that people should be interested in. And usually it's not. It's about what solar power does for the person, right? So if you can keep the focus on saving money on electricity bills, solar power should just be the mechanism that they get the savings with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that, if you just sort of begin with the end in mind and make sure that the initial conversation, the initial approach is, you're there not to sell solar power, you're there to solve a problem. And their problem is a big power bill, especially in Texas City. I mean, Texas utility rates have gone up 50% in 12 months. So there's a huge pain point in that state. And we're the people to get it. And I think if you look at it, instead of selling someone in a solar system, you're serving people the savings of the solar system. Does that make sense? Because when you switch your mind, I have it written on my whiteboard. When you switch your mind from selling people to serving people, you get clarity as to why you're doing what you're doing, therefore increasing your confidence and then getting people to buy into your mission. Because people don't want to be sold on shit, but they will join your mission. They will join your mission. And it all starts with getting clarity as to why you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. Welcome. Congratulations on joining the best industry on the planet. And it looks like we'll be around for at least another decade at 30%. So.
Oh, definitely. I wasn't sure if I could ask you that question without you being prepared for it, but yeah, what are your insights to the solar industry right now, as we're at such a pivotal moment in history with getting such an incredible boost with our federal tax credit, possibly?
Yeah. Well, what I see happening is other big companies moving into this space. Okay. And you already see it with ADT. You see it with Rocket Mortgage. You see it with Quicken Loans. They're essentially becoming the Carvanas of solar. Now, with that said, it's all that much more important to become top of mind in your market, right? And to be the unique person who stands out as to be the person that someone would reach out to in your network to get a savings estimate. Because, I know a lot of people who would prefer not to use Carvana. They still like to go in and go to a dealership and all that sort of thing. Let me silence my phone. It's Facebook. So yeah, I mean, all indicators point that it's going to pass. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think what's interesting, and I'm trying to figure out, is what do they do the rest of this year? Because it would be pretty tough to close deals right now if it was 26% this year and 30% January 1st. So I'm sure we would just eat the cost, right? But yeah.
I feel like I did read somewhere that it will be effective this year. So if anybody was installed January in 2022, it will be there. But I am not a licensed certified tax accountant, you know. All right, let's get some more questions here. Mitch, I see that you have your hand up. Mitch, what question do you have for Bill Murphy today?
All right. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining us today.
What's up, Mitch?
Yeah, so one question I would have. When working with online leads, call or text first, or a little bit of both, or send a text, then a call. How do you recommend?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And the thing that we have to be aware of is that the iPhone is getting really good at screening for spam and things of that nature. So in homeowners, it's kind of like knocking on doors these days. They don't necessarily want to answer the phone for numbers they don't recognize, that type of thing. However, if they've just completed an action online, they should be ready for communication from somebody. If you just send them a text and say, hey, it's Mitch, I'm about to call you from this number, please pick up, then you're going to get a higher pickup rate. In addition to that, you always want to do something called double dial. And what I mean by that is exactly how it sounds. If you call someone and they don't answer, don't leave a voicemail, hang up, call again. You're going to get a large percentage of people who didn't pick up the first time, pick up the second time. And then it's like, how do you win that person within 5 seconds? And I can guarantee you it's not talking about a solar estimate, right?
Yeah.
You're there
Make
to
a personal
knock
connection.
down that big problem that they have, aren't you? So make it all about what they stand to lose if they don't listen to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
And if you train for the stiff arm, the verbal stiff arm, then you're going to be good. So if you expect someone to say, no, Mitch, I'm not interested. If you're ready for that, then you're going to do very, very well. And really, it's just like a door knocking pitch. Like if someone's trying to give you the cold shoulder, let them know that that's totally cool. I get it. Before I let you go, would it be okay if I took 30 seconds of your time, told you how people are getting $8,500, right, from Uncle Sam? And if it doesn't make sense after that, you hang up on me. Does that sound reasonable? So you get permission and then you move forward, right? And it's not a magic bullet, but you will get a large percentage of people who you wouldn't get if you didn't try that little pivot.
I like that. Thanks for that. Yeah. I've just started recently sending a text within about 5 minutes of a call. And I haven't been doing it long enough to see if it works better or not, but yeah, I'm trying that now. So
Yep. The text should just be, hey, I'm about to call you, please answer. So they have
yeah.
Plus it'll break through the spam filter too. If your people are conversing with you in text messages, then the phone won't show you as spam. And usually that's not a problem unless you're using like a Twilio number or something like that from a CRM,
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
That's great. Very key nugget there, don't be that salesperson, be the solution person. We're solution based, that's what we're doing for them. Everybody else is selling. They're ramming shit down their throats. Not you. You're solution based. Great. Let's see. We've got Jimmy. What's your question?
Hey, Jimmy.
This is Jimmy or James. I go by either name. I'm gotten a lot older. Anyways, I was just working for a company and resigned after 4 months. Basically, what it was in order to be a closer, I had to start at the bottom, what was called call tools, answer phone calls for a month, and then set appointments for a few months. And then they were going to move me into what's called the closer position. But due to my, looks and voice, I didn't compete with the other two that were going for it. Well, actually three. One of them was a friend of the company, so that didn't really have. So I quit the job. So now I'm kind of looking for what's a good company to go with, to work for out of California, to if I want to just go on the phone and do stuff from home, make calls, either cold calling or warm calling, or I don't think I'll be buying leads, but
Yeah.
just the basics.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on the right call for that, aren't you, Melissa? I think power is probably a fairly good option for you to look into. I'm sure there's a multitude of people on this call that can plug you in.
Yeah, Jimmy, are you a member of the Solar Consultant Network, our Facebook group? We've got an amazing network of all
Okay.
sorts of people that
Yeah,
we
I think
can.
I just joined a couple days ago.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I
The
was
good
on
news
solar-
about
I was
Jimmy,
on
the good news
for
about
Alton
solar.
Installers and all the other stuff. Sorry.
No worries. What were you selling before?
Solar.
It was solar.
I worked for a company named LA Solar Group for about a year,
Okay.
which I just mainly did quotes, and you would just send them a quote. If they're happy, they pick you as the installer. If they pick you as the installer, then you start the conversation, send them the paperwork, they sign it, and then you pass it on to the. But that company and I didn't get along really good, so.
Sounds like an energy sage.
Yeah, it was Energy Sage type
Oh.
thing, where I'd do anywhere between 20 and 200 quotes a day.
No shit.
Yeah, it was real simple. You just do it. I mean, I would just did it out of my house, so it didn't really matter what I did.
Yeah.
My problem, my problem is I have a background in photovoltaic 1, 2, 3, it's solar, thermal, and electricity. I have like 2 to 3 years of education in that area. So a lot of salespeople tell me I'm overqualified and I shouldn't be. I give people too much information. If somebody wants to know something about it, I want to give them the information rather than, try and cram the price down their throat. I mean, if somebody says, what kind of panels or what type of, warranty is there on it? What's really covered in the you're selling me something for $35,000 here. What am I really getting? And it's like, well, you're getting a warranty, you're getting some panels. Can you break that down? Yeah, I can, but I'm not allowed to. So
I think
yeah, sorry.
people will not buy something unless they truly believe the alternative is far greater than the investment to solve the problem. Does that make sense? Like if people don't truly agree upfront that they're going to be paying a very specific amount to the utility company regardless, then they'll never really see the value of solar power, and I see this all the time where guys brush over the power bill, and that's our biggest opportunity. Like that's our time to shine, is that power bill. And it's time to pick up the voice and inflect at that moment, right? It's time to put the emphasis behind that pain point, because just like any sales process, it's rapport, agenda, discovery, problem, solution, right? So it's like you just follow those key parts of the sales process, and again, solar power, the value proposition to the homeowner is so good. My partner Brandon had this good point a couple months ago. He says the homeowner is always going to profit more than the sales company. And that's true. That's not true in a lot of cases. Like the homeowner is always going to make more profit than you. So it just gives you the confidence to sell them the system.
No,
But it has to start with the pain point. The pain point has to be big, and you have to get compliance.
One of my problems with the pain point for me with a lot of people is, well, I'm not going to take a loan out for, $50,000 to put solar power on my home when I have a $300 a month payment. Why do I have to get a loan? And why does that add so much to the cost?
Well, your loan payment it goes against the principal, right? So it's like this, it's like you had this landlord who you rented an apartment from, and every year the landlord came back and said, we're going to charge you 15% more this year, and you can't leave. And then the next year they come back and they say, I'm going to charge you 20% this year in addition to last year, but you can't leave, so it's really it's less about a loan. It's more about options. Because we don't homeowner, how many times people in this call have gotten down to the pricing and they're like, yeah, 25-year loan. And they're like, oh, 25 years, I won't be around in 25 years. We've all heard that. But that is just the term of the loan. We don't anticipate you to be paying minimum payments for 25 years. It's just the ability to pay it off, right? And I have this calculator, which I could drop in the comments if I can find it in my drive quick enough, but it's a calculator that shows like, hey, even 2 additional payments per year will cut your loan term by like 5 or 7 years. You know what I'm saying? Like just 2 extra payments. Like you can't do extra payments to the power company and get ahead. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
No, I understand there's like a 3 to 5% annual increase on your power from your power company, and 60%.
not anymore.
Well,
There's more
that's
like
what it's
30,
been.
40% a year.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. And a lot of power companies already been allowing, but now I just lost my.
I do apologize. I have to pause. We do have a time limit on this.
Okay, I'll
and
shut
we have
up.
so
Bye.
many people that have their hands raised, and I really want to make sure everybody gets to it. But Jimmy, we do have awesome trainings with the Solar Consultant Network that we can show you how we go through our proposals online and all of our different techniques. So we're here to help you with that.
And how do I get a hold of that information again? I'm sorry.
I have just messaged you, so we'll get
Oh.
that.
Will do. Thanks.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Jimmy, you did the most important part, and that's being here. That's the most difficult part. So
Yes.
kudos to you.
Thank
And
you.
asking
you.
the questions. So many people
Right.
get too nervous to ask questions. So thank you. All right. So next up, Sean Shirley. So fun little fact about Sean Shirley. I met him through Bill. So I wouldn't know Sean Shirley if Bill hadn't had the solar cheat code and we wouldn't have all been part of it. So Sean, what kind of question can Bill answer for you?
What's up, Sean?
Sure. Hey, Bill, how's it going, man?
Hey,
So
good.
I always have loved the way that you explained a knock and walk at a home, but my business is transitioned now where I'm trying to do everything, or the vast majority of my sits remotely. What do you recommend as a good, virtual alternative to the knock and walk to kind of break the ice? Because I always felt that was where my sales were won or lost right there.
Yeah. Well, you have to get creative. I'm not sure there's a good substitute just because the knock and walk is so in person. It's meant to get them literally.
Well, for all of those still door knockers out there, what's the knock and walk?
Yeah,
technique?
So first of all, let me preface that answer with, if you guys don't know who Greg Welsh is WELSH. He's a former national trainer for SunPower. He now works with SunGage. I think it's SunGage Financial. And he does these clinics throughout the country. He does like 2-day sales clinics. If they're in your area, you should go to one. But you can also find him on YouTube. He does a lot of the stuff on YouTube. But that's where I learned the knock and walk back in 2015. And the knock and walk is when you go to the appointment and the homeowner's like gonna let you into the house. You actually ask them to come out with you and you bring them to the meter and you explain, hey, this meter, you see these numbers, like it's already measuring how much solar power you're producing. You just don't have any panels yet. And what we're doing truly is we're creating safety in numbers, right? Because when they can see that the existing hardware in their house is set up to do exactly what we're trying to do here, then it's less of a risky decision to go solar power. It's almost like makes it more natural. Does that make sense? But other than that,
like
it's just,
what about this? Because we're trying to figure out how we want to make this into virtual, right, Sean? So what if we take that same concept and maybe, so I always like to text to keep engagement happening between making that discovery call and when we're presenting energy savings report. Now you text them and have them take a picture of that meter, right? And now when you first thing, right, when you're starting your energy savings report, you can say, spinning backwards, and you can kind of go into that same segue that Bill just said if you were in the house, because remember with virtual, you're doing the same things you would have did in the house, but you're just looking at each other on a computer screen. What are your thoughts on that, Bill?
yeah, I mean, it's all about a threshold that the homeowner will be willing to do with stuff, I think, truly it's more about inflection at the right points of the sales process. And you just go to an 8 out of 10 when you get to that power bill. Like when you get to the power bill, it should go from here all the way to here. And like you are like Greg, he used to teach us, like, wave it in the air, like put it in their face, point to it, like this is what you're doing. My landscaping bill, but this is why you're here. You're not here to sell solar power. You're here to solve this problem. And if you can keep it around this problem, then people are more likely to just be compliant at that point.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. I mean, your stuff's gold. And if you guys can get that calculator he was talking about, I have it saved on my iPad and I use it in every single pitch.
Yeah. There's 2 calculators I use. It's the early payoff because it empowers the homeowner. Because like you can just ask people, like, look, your solar payment's $175 a month. How many extra, like if you had to put extra payments to them, how many extra payments per year could you put? And they'll go crazy. They'll be like, well, I'll do one. I'll double up every other month. You know, be like, okay, 6. And you put it into the calculator. It's like, oh my God, the loan's paid off in 12 years early, you know, and it saves me $11,000 of interest or what have you. So it's powerful. And then the other one is an inflation calculator, which, you know, most proposal tools kind of have built in, like Solo. But that's the biggest thing, you know, if you can get compliance on the fact that they're like, when I say compliance, like agreement from the homeowner, which should be done on the discovery call, right? Like your discovery call is your opportunity to soft close them without numbers, right? It's kind of like if you met a new neighbor at a barbecue and they're like, hey, Sean, what do you do for work? You know, and you're like, oh, I'm in solar. And they're like, oh, does that save money? And those things that you would talk about in that moment, that's what you do on the discovery call. And if you can get someone to be nodding their head, and if you can get compliance with them, like, Sean, numbers aside, how do you feel? Right? Does this make sense to you? Do you see why people do this stuff? And they're like, yeah, man, totally. Like, if the numbers make sense, like, would you do it? You know, if I could put a solar system on your home, doesn't cost you anything out of pocket, and I can get the savings on electricity bills to pay for the solar system, would you do it? And if they say yes, then you progress them to the pitch, because people have a confirmation bias. Like they want to do what they say they're going to do. And if you can get people to say yes on the discovery call, regardless of numbers, then it's far more likely that they're going to show up to get the pitch.
That's great. I'm going to piggyback on one thought here, and that's with your calculator to pay it off early, which, by the way, if you wouldn't mind, we could maybe post that in the Solar Consultant Network Facebook group, so maybe people can get it there. But here's a thought, you know, you're using this calculator to show the homeowner what happens if they make these extra payments. This is the time for you to go in and get that referral. Now you're going to say something like, hey, look, if you make these extra payments, how quickly you can pay your loan off. Now let's look, if you give me 9 referrals and I pay you $1,000 after install for every referral, let's put in $9,000 here. Oh my Lord, homeowner, look at how quick you can pay that off. You know, like that's where you're getting your referrals.
Yep.
Oh, thanks for that. I see that there. Everybody see that in the chat there? That's your docs. All right. So we are coming up here on 30 minutes. So thank you again, Bill. What kind of do you want to leave us with a last thought here from Bill Murphy?
Yeah. So, you know, again, get clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And the best way to do that in my work experience is to serve people. Because when you serve people, you feel good, you have more motivation to do that, right? And I think if you look at it as the bag of money that they're missing out on, okay, Mike O'Donnell and I kind of have the same mindset on this. People have a real hard time putting value on future savings. Just, it's hard for us to think about the future, right? But if you can spin it, and you can spin it at, if they're going to save 35K in the next 25 years, you need to spin it as they're going to lose 35K if they don't do it. because if they lose, people will spend all kinds of money not to lose shit, right? It's like when people, they don't get healthy until they get sick, right? It's the same thing. So if you can, if you have that narrative that you're serving people and it's their money and you're the one to get them the money, then you're going to have full clarity as to why you're doing it. And then people are going to buy into your conviction.
That is just perfect. What an awesome insight to end this on. Again, thank you, Bill Murphy, for joining the Solar Consultant Network's Monday Forum. We are all here to share insights, to collectively unite and help grow the solar industry worldwide together. So thank you so much, Bill. And thanks everybody for joining. We will have this recording posted on our Solar Consultant Network YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe so that you can stay connected. Thank you.